Tonight on your News at 9, we head to Uniontown, Kansas to see some of the damage caused by Friday's extreme weather here in the four-state area.
Kids Fishing Day is back in Carthage. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with the importance of teaching kids how to fish and getting them in the outdoors.
And speaking of fish, four-state fish lovers pay a trip to Joplin to check out the aquatic swap meet, and we're going to check it out as well. Chief Meteorologist Doug HEADY has your weather. Danny Terzer's on sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks as always for tuning in, and we have had some intense weather lately here in the four-state area, and we also have our Chief Meteorologist Doug HEADY stopping by. So let's start things off with Doug. What's up, Doug?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, it turned out to be a much nicer day for us today. Not near as stormy as what we did have during the evening hours yesterday, as of course we had severe weather across the region. Still hot though, temperatures up to 91, our average high is 85, record 102, so way back in 1953. We look pretty good. Not too much going on here. We have mostly clear skies, a few little storms out to our west, but we have this big ridge of high pressure which is going to work in as we go through the next few days. So the end result is the heat and the humidity are going to be sticking around. In fact, it's still into the mid 80s. We still have heat indices in the lower 90s across the region. So a very warm night. As we go through the overnight hours, we'll drop back to about 66. Now the hot one tomorrow, 91 degrees. Of course, we're going to look at when we're going to see some more storms coming up here in just a bit.
Good old Missouri summer. Good old Kansas summer too. Thanks so much, Doug HEADY. Over in Uniontown, Kansas, widespread damage was reported following yesterday's intense weather. It was mostly uprooted trees. One of the two pumps at the Conoco gas station was also blown over. In addition, there were a number of power lines downed in the city, leaving many residents without power since around 6 last night. Damage was also reported in Allen County, Kansas. This video comes from the Allen County Sheriff's Office. It shows a home in Iola. As you can see, a very large tree was toppled by last night's storms. Fortunately, it seems to have missed the house. However, it didn't miss the two cars parked near the home. Officials say they received numerous reports of trees and power lines downed across the city. A tree was also blown over onto a couple's car just as they were preparing to leave their home. Fortunately, only minor injuries were reported. After being canceled last year due to the pandemic, the Kids Fishing Day at Kellogg Lake in Carthage is back. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky checked it out.
Saturday marks the 20th year for the Kids Fishing Day at Kellogg Lake. After the pandemic halted last year's plans, they were ready to come back bigger and better.
But this year we're back, and I think we're at or above, pre-virus levels with the folks that are out today, and it's going really good.
Andy Rhodes with the Missouri Department of Conservation says they've prepared the lake just for this event.
We stocked the lake, 400 pounds and 400 fish, so we've got lots of stuff to catch. What we stocked are catfish, but there's lots more in the lake besides that. There's bluegill and sunfish, and then there's also some bass.
For some families, coming out to fishing events like this is a long-standing tradition.
We've been coming here since I was a kid. I remember his grandpa, he's actually here. He's brought us out here since we were little.
Now, Luis Ortega is continuing the tradition and hopes to pass these values on to his son.
It's taught me patience. It's taught me every outing isn't always what you expect it to be. It's always an adventure.
His wife Morgan says she's happy to see her son take after his dad.
So we wanted to come out today and see if we could catch any fish. Our 4-year-old son loves it. He loves to fish just like his dad.
She says the outdoors teaches her son more than what he was learning while stuck inside.
Being able to get out and explore, and with Billy, he gets really excited when he catches a fish and when we get to put a worm on the hook, and it just teaches him life skills like patience, waiting for the fish, and just that the hard work pays off when you do catch a fish. So I think that's important to teach him than just watching cartoons every day.
In Carthage, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Scales and Tails in Joplin held an aquatic swap meet today. The swap meet sold everything aquatic related, from fish food to equipment to actual fish. The organizer of the aquatic swap meet says they hosted the event to get more of the community interested in this fishy hobby. They say having water and fish in one's home can help people relax and even unwind.
This is a hobby of peace and tranquility. This is something you can dive into your creativity side. You could create beautiful scapes. You could create an underwater world and an ecosystem that you have in your own mind and vision.
Organizers say they've seen swap meets like this for aquatic items held in Springfield and Tulsa, and they wanted to feature one for folks in the four-state area. It is now time for us to honor one of our many four-state heroes, and tonight we pay tribute to Charles Kimbrough of Carthage, Missouri. Kimbrough served as a petty officer, second class in the U.S. Navy, and he fought in the Korean War. He earned a United Nations Medal, a Combat Air Crewman Wings, and many other honors. Thank you, sir, for your service and your courage. For more information on all our four-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to komnewsnow.com.
Well, it turned out to be another hot day for us today. Very humid across the region as well, with our heat indices right around 100 degrees throughout the afternoon, but plenty of sunshine. Had a few cumulus clouds out there at times, but in general, partly and mostly sunny skies. Nice shot at the sunset. Of course, this is our time-lapse Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. But it looks like the heat, the humidity is going to stick around. Allergies are still kind of high. On a scale of 1 to 10, today's a 7. On Sunday is also going to be a 7 out of 10 across the region. So if you are an allergy sufferer, unfortunately, those are going to stay high, just like the temps. Near 90 yesterday. Had the big storms. Yesterday evening, we dropped back into the 70s. We did it again today, about 90, 91 degrees during the afternoon hours. Temperatures still up there. Most of us upper 70s to near 80 degrees. And we still actually have even a heat index out there, and this is mainly due to our dew points. So you can see these are measured in degrees, but they're into the low to mid 70s. So if we look at our dew point tracker, that puts us in that muggy to soupy range, and that's where we're going to sit as we go through the next couple days. So that still gives us a heat index outside. Even right now, when it's dark, it still feels like 85, 86, 87 degrees across the region. So hot, humid, looks good outside, 7th and range line, and we have clear skies. There's nothing that is going on here across the entire, really central plains. Any storms that we had yesterday, these are all gone across Illinois, parts of Indiana, Kentucky. We do have a few that are getting going out across parts of Colorado and down through New Mexico, but besides that, you can see a whole bunch of nothing all the way out to the west due to a big ridge of high pressure, and this is really going to build in over the next couple days. What that will do for us is keep the heat and the humidity sticking around. We're going into Monday. You can see the big ridge. We are getting a few waves rotating around it, but it's going to be too far to the west. So we mainly stay dry over the next several days, and there's a slight chance we may get a few showers or thunderstorms in here by the middle of the week, but really our best chance is going to be as the system slides across the Great Lakes late Thursday into Friday. This will give us better chances for showers and thunderstorms, but it's also going to cool us down a little bit by the time we head into next weekend. It's going to be fairly warm tonight, upper 60s. We'll heat up again on Sunday. Temperatures right around 90, 91 degrees during the afternoon. We'll have a light northeasterly wind. 86 by noon, high temp right around 91. Tomorrow night, looks good. Pretty much clear skies, mid 60s again. And then on Monday, we do it again. Partly sunny skies, high temps, right around 90 degrees, very consistent over the next couple days. Plus our heat indices are going to be up there. It's going to feel about 95 to 97 for us tomorrow. A little bit hotter, a little bit higher, near 100 by the time we head into Monday afternoon. 91 tomorrow, 91 on Monday. Hair cooler Tuesday and Wednesday, 92 on Thursday. Some showers and thunderstorms and cooling back down late next week. Mike?
Well, thanks as always, Doug Heady. And when we return, we've got the latest from the G7 summit.
The leaders of the world's biggest economies are gathering in person for the first time since the pandemic started. I'm Peter Ducey in the UK with details about the G7 summit next.
Welcome back to your News at 9. The annual G7 summit got a little bit contentious when it came time to talk about China. There were also mass protests on the sideline with demonstrators calling for climate change action. Fox News' Peter Ducey is traveling with President Biden in Cornwall, England, and he has details on day 2 of the summit.
It's the first in-person gathering of the G7 nations since the pandemic started, and the leaders of the world's biggest economies are not wasting any time. The second day of the summit in Cornwall included back-to-back discussions on the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and tensions with China, among other topics. President Biden urged his fellow world leaders to call out China's authoritarian practices, but there was no agreement on how exactly to take action. Later on, the commander-in-chief and the French president, Emmanuel Macron, met for their first formal in-person meeting. The two leaders thanked each other for their mutual support and cooperation, and Macron declared the U.S. is back.
Things are going, I think, well, and we're, as we say back in the States, we're on the same page. So, thank you.
I think it's great to have the U.S. president part of the club and very willing to cooperate.
The second day of the summit also saw protests both on the sea and on the streets. Hundreds marched near the G7 Media Center to try and push climate change to the top of the agenda.
They have been drowning us in promises and not delivering. So we're here to say to them, it's time to actually take action.
The President and First Lady are expected to meet Queen Elizabeth for tea Sunday before President Biden heads to Brussels for a NATO summit. And at the end of this trip, he'll sit down face-to-face with Vladimir Putin in Geneva. In Cornwall, England, Peter Ducey, Fox News.
And speaking of the Queen, Queen Elizabeth viewed a military parade in the quadrangle of Windsor Castle today to mark her 95th birthday. A Royal Air Force flyover was also scheduled to honor Her Majesty. The Queen's birthday is actually April 21st and is usually observed privately, and then a public ceremony takes place afterward. For the second consecutive year, the traditional Trooping of the Color was canceled due to the pandemic. This parade was held to replace it. Still to come, gun violence once again plagues our country this weekend.
3 mass shootings since Friday night killed 2 people and injured more than 24 others. The latest on the gun violence and those chilling moments after those incidents.
It was another violent weekend in America with multiple mass shootings. Fox News' Christina Coleman has details on those incidents, plus how the nation is remembering the victims of the Pulse nightclub shootings 5 years later.
It was a dangerous and deadly weekend in multiple cities across the country. In downtown Austin, an area known for its fun nightlife, bars and restaurants became a place of chaos when someone opened fire on 6th Street early Saturday morning. Authorities arrested 1 of 2 suspects for that shooting. Police believe it was an isolated incident between 2 parties.
We have 2 victims that remain in critical condition, and then we have 12 victims that right now are in stable condition. Almost all of those victims are innocent bystanders.
Just hours earlier, a shooting in Savannah, Georgia left at least 1 person dead and 8 others injured, including a 2-year-old and a 13-year-old. Authorities are still gathering information on suspects and a motive.
There's bullet holes in people's front doors. There's screen doors shot out. So I'm just upset at this moment, and we got to try to find a way to make some kind of sense out of it.
And in Chicago, multiple people were shot, at least 1 fatally, when 2 gunmen opened fire along a thriving business district in the city's south side.
I looked down. Next thing I know, I heard pop by. I looked up at the crowd that was in front of me, and I seen people scattering like this, and I seen like 2 people hit the floor.
The violence comes as the nation marks 5 years since the Pulse nightclub massacre in Florida. On June 12, 2016, a lone gunman opened fire at the club, killing 49 people in the nation's deadliest mass shooting at the time. President Biden said in a statement Saturday he will designate Pulse nightclub as a national memorial in the coming days. Christina Coleman, Fox News.
A community rallied together in Ontario Friday to mourn victims of a hate crime. The London, Ontario community marched in solidarity and in quiet remembrance days after a man killed 4 members of a Muslim family. The family members were all run over by a car, and only the parents' 9-year-old son survived. Police are calling the deaths a targeted hate crime. The 20-year-old suspect, Nathaniel Beltman, made a brief virtual appearance in court on Thursday. He faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Multiple people were killed and others got trapped after a car crashed into a building in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Officials say the car slammed about 200 feet into the Biomat USA Plasma Center. Witnesses say it was going very fast before it struck the building. At least 3 people were killed and another person was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The crash started a fire in the building, which also led to a partial collapse. When we return, things are looking up for the airline industry here in the U.S. The TSA says more than 2 million travelers passed through airport checkpoints on Friday, which is a huge jump from a year ago. Details are next. Welcome back to your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. The airline industry experiences a travel rebound with more than 2 million travelers passing through airport checkpoints on Friday. The Transportation Security Administration announced the milestone today. The TSA says this is the first time in 15 months since the number of security screenings has surpassed 2 million in a single day. The TSA added that Friday's number is 1.5 million more travelers than the same day last year, but only 74% of the crowd which showed up on the same day in 2019. Airline bookings have been surging since February because more Americans are getting vaccinated against COVID-19. People stood in long lines outside of banks in Cuba on Friday after the government announced it will soon stop accepting cash deposits in U.S. dollars. The measure goes into effect on June 21st. Bank officials blamed what they're calling a, quote, accumulation of dollar bills which can't be placed in foreign financial entities due to embargoes imposed on the island. Stay right there. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heady and your KOAM Sports Report with Danny Terzer. That's all coming up right here in your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, the club scene in the Golden State is hoping to make a big comeback this month. We're taking a closer look in just 2 short minutes. California is planning for a full reopening June 15th. Los Angeles club and restaurant owners hope this means a return to the typical summer nightlife. Fox News' Coco McAvoy takes a look.
Welcome to La Mesa Lounge on Cahuenga Boulevard, one of the hot spots for Hollywood nightlife.
It's a restaurant with more of a kind of a nightclub vibe. Later in the evening, it kind of loosens up and stuff. You're able to move around. As the restrictions loosen up for COVID, I think after the 15th, we'll see a little bit more of that.
The club was closed down for nearly 1 year during the pandemic, just reopening a few months ago in February. And since then, it's been fully booked every night. Sean, the operator of La Mesa, says come June 15th, a lot of the precautions will remain in place, like mask wearing when you enter the establishment. But there will be some changes.
Well, when it comes to June 15, I mean, once everything opens, we're going to be able to allow more people in. We can accommodate more venues. We can bring more artists. I mean, the whole point of La Mesa is not your ordinary restaurant. It's a combination of a lounge and a restaurant. Want to encompass like a good food, great music, good decor.
In West Hollywood, another fan favorite called LABETTE on Holiday, offering a rooftop patio and poolside patio with great cocktails and exquisite Mediterranean-inspired food. LABETTE originally opened at a different location on Melrose Avenue, but
our original location is at 9010 Melrose Avenue, and we opened just before the plague began in January, and within 3 months we had to close down. So as the state allowed outdoor dining, we didn't have any capability to do so, so our friends here at the hotel allowed us to come over and do a pop-up of our venue.
That pop-up turned into a permanent fixture, drawing popularity and a steady crowd. Come June 15th, the digital menus, hand sanitizer at each table, and masks aren't going away.
So we want to make everyone feel comfortable. So all of our staff will still be masked, and we'll still be following all the protocols. We'll still keep the distance and everything that we need to.
The restaurant will stay open at the hotel, but will be called Isima next week, while LABETTE returns to its original location. And at either establishment, guests will be able to ease into the new normal.
We can come and be together again and dine together again and raise a toast and have a dance and enjoy each other's company, not so distanced.
Those California nightclubs may be getting past COVID-19 restrictions, but they'll still have to deal with the state's infamous summer power failures. Pacific Gas and Electric says another wildfire season has begun, and those fires are expected to cause blackouts. The company also says almost 80% of the Golden State is experiencing drought conditions that are being described as historic. PG&E is urging customers to be proactive and to put into place safety measures to reduce the risk of fires and power outages. We'll be right back with meteorologist Doug Heady and another look at your weather.
Well, it turned out to be another hot day for us today. Very humid across the region as well, with our heat indices right around 100 degrees throughout the afternoon, but plenty of sunshine. Had a few cumulus clouds out there at times, but in general, partly and mostly sunny skies. Nice shot at the sunset. Of course, this is our time-lapse Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. But it looks like the heat, the humidity is going to stick around. Allergies are still kind of high. On a scale of 1 to 10, today's a 7. On Sunday is also going to be a 7 out of 10 across the region. So if you are an allergy sufferer, unfortunately, those are going to stay high, just like the temps. Near 90 yesterday. Had the big storms. Yesterday evening, we dropped back into the 70s. We did it again today, about 90, 91 degrees during the afternoon hours. Temperatures still up there. Most of us upper 70s to near 80 degrees. And we still actually have even a heat index out there. And this is mainly due to our dew points. So you can see these are measured in degrees, but they're into the low to mid 70s. So if we look at our dew point tracker, that puts us in that muggy to soupy range. And that's where we're going to sit as we go through the next couple days. So that still gives us a heat index outside. Even right now, when it's dark, it still feels like 85, 86, 87 degrees across the region. So hot, humid, looks good outside, 7th and range line, and we have clear skies. There's nothing that is going on here across the entire, really central plains. Any storms that we had yesterday, these are all gone across Illinois, parts of Indiana, Kentucky. We do have a few that are getting going out across parts of Colorado and down through New Mexico. But besides that, you can see a whole bunch of nothing all the way out to the west due to a big ridge of high pressure. And this is really going to build in over the next couple days. What that will do for us is keep the heat and the humidity sticking around. We're going into Monday. You can see the big ridge. We are getting a few waves rotating around it, but it's going to be too far to the west. So we mainly stay dry over the next several days, and there's a slight chance we may get a few showers or thunderstorms in here by the middle of the week, but really our best chance is going to be as the system slides across the Great Lakes late Thursday into Friday. This will give us better chances for showers and thunderstorms, but it's also going to cool us down a little bit by the time we head into next weekend. It's going to be fairly warm tonight, upper 60s. We'll heat up again on Sunday. Temperatures right around 90, 91 degrees during the afternoon. We'll have a light northeasterly wind. 86 by noon, high temp right around 91. Tomorrow night, looks good. Pretty much clear skies, mid 60s again. And then on Monday, we do it again. Partly sunny skies, high temps right around 90 degrees. Very consistent over the next couple days. Plus our heat indices are going to be up there. It's going to feel about 95 to 97 for us tomorrow. A little bit hotter, a little bit higher, near 100 by the time we head into Monday afternoon. 91 tomorrow, 91 on Monday. Hair cooler Tuesday and Wednesday, 92 on Thursday. Some showers and thunderstorms and cooling back down late next week. Mike?
Well, thanks again, Doug, and always a pleasure when you stop by on the weekend. All right, stick around, sports fans. We'll be right back to Danny Terzer and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report.
Labette County High School girls wrestling coach Jason Storm has organized a 2-day camp attracting coaches and wrestlers from all over the area. We caught up with Coach to learn more about what his new opportunity offers.
Labette County High School is providing a brand new opportunity for girl wrestlers.
Nobody's ever really truly done this before in the state of Kansas.
Labette girls wrestling coach Jason Storm organized a 2-day wrestling camp.
I came up with this idea, put it out, started throwing it out to some coaches, and started getting a lot of positive responses.
The camp has attracted coaches and wrestlers from all over the area.
Even Great Bend and Emporia, their coaches are here. Getting that support from those guys, you know, it really helps grow this sport. It's really going to help continue to get us better.
About 70 girls came out to the camp on Friday and Saturday.
It's just a good feeling that girls are wanting to try something new and getting into a sport that is just growing so much right now.
Storm invited Baker University wrestler and former LABETTE alum Abby Jones to help coach.
I reached out to Abby and I wanted to see if she would be interested in coming in and doing some sort of camp. And Abby said, hey, I got a couple of girls who are willing to come, and really great girls coming in, being able to work with these girls.
The girls have the opportunity to practice their technique and also wrestle in live matches.
I think it's a huge advantage. You know, any girl who's out here during the summer, putting in work during the summer, it's just going to help make them better. And being able to provide that opportunity to these girls is something really special to us.
It's a big deal because there are so many girls that aren't here putting in extra work to get better.
With a few tweaks, Storm hopes to be able to continue to offer the camp in the years to come.
I think the girls really enjoy it. Definitely I can see this becoming an annual thing.
Isabel Renfro from Seneca High School was named the most outstanding wrestler at the conclusion of the camp. The Joplin Outlaws currently lead the South Division at 4-2 and are coming off a dominant 13-1 win. Tonight, they kick off a 4-game road trip against Des Moines. The short history between Joplin and Des Moines this season favors the Outlaws. They swept a 2-game home series against the Peak Prospects to open up the season. Tonight, they're up 3-2 in the top of the 8th. In the majors, Kansas City, in the midst of a 4-game series out on the West Coast against Oakland. The Royals took Game 1, and then it was the A's turn. They got the walk-off win on Friday. Tonight, Kansas City finds themselves down 5-0 in the 6th. A's not stopping. Matt Chapman takes the pitch 388 feet to right for a solo home run. Royals get on the board thanks to Kelvin Gutierrez, but this one is all A's. Sky Bolt, first homer of his career. Then Matt Olson buries the Royals with this, a 3-run jack. A's roll by the Royals 11-2. As for St. Louis, 9 of their last 11 games are losses, including Game 1 against Chicago on Friday. A chance to even up the series tonight, though, not going in the Cards' favor. They are down 7-2 in the 8th. Arenado and DeYoung both with solo shots tonight. We'll be right back with more news.
The victims of the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting were remembered today at a special ceremony in Orlando. Family and friends gathered to read the names of each life lost as a bell tolled for each one. Today marks 5 years since 49 people were killed during a shooting inside Pulse, a gay nightclub. The One Pulse Foundation also streamed a remembrance ceremony on their social media pages. In honor of Pride Month, Fox News' Brian Yanis takes a closer look at the life and success of Craig Hella Johnson. Johnson is regarded as a top choral conductor and a Grammy Award winner from a small town in Minnesota. Johnson credits music for saving his life, and now he's on a mission to help others find their voices.
This Pride Month, we honor a gay musician with a talent for bringing people together and whose personal journey teaches us that love always perseveres.
In those seconds before the music begins, I want to listen for that pulse. And then there's the downbeat. And then it's this incredible ride.
Craig Hella Johnson is one of America's most renowned choral conductors, a Grammy Award-winning musician with an uncanny ability to make many voices sound like one. You are bringing so many different voices together in a choir to create a unified voice, a unified emotion. How do you do that?
When you can create a space where people feel safe to express from their natural gift authentically, that's when the real deepest beauty begins, I think.
It's a lesson Craig learned the hard way, growing up as a gay kid in a northern Minnesota mining town, the son of a nurse and a pastor.
I was confused and, pretty terrified because, all the messages, certainly at that time, were just a big no.
When he was young, Craig went to gay conversion therapy.
That was a real indoctrination of, no, kind of some fundamental part of you is not right. And so that's a really brutal thing to experience.
Deep in the silence, deep in the cold.
Music and the stage saved his life.
That's the one place that could be totally authentic. On the podium, I'm brave, I'm fierce, I'm strong.
Now, through the power of his own bully pulpit, Craig is on a mission to help others find their light.
You don't need any speeches or any doctrine or anything to tell that story except just listen. It's an inhabited experience of being together in a really incredible way as fellow human beings.
In 1991, Craig established a choir in Austin called Conspirare. And by 2015, the group won the Grammy for Best Choral Performance for their album Sacred Spirit of Russia. In 2019, Craig was awarded the Texas Medal of the Arts Award.
We want to give voice to the voiceless and celebrate the common human family that we are.
Sandra Derby, a longtime friend, says one of Craig's many gifts is his ability to encourage people to bring their whole selves to a performance.
The way that singers give themselves over to the shape that he gives to a song just penetrates right to the core.
Today, the group performs a project composed by Craig called Considering Matthew Shepard. A concert honoring the life and legacy of the student beaten, tortured, and left to die in a horrific anti-gay hate crime.
Sadly, Matt's story is still very relevant. That piece was kind of my coming out as a composer, really.
What is your message to LGBTQ youth who are watching this?
Find the courage to love yourself so fully. You have something so beautiful and unique to offer. Please offer it to the world, because the world is less if you don't.
Craig has been with his partner Philip for 21 years. They had a commitment ceremony years ago, and it was Craig's dad, the pastor, who officiated. In New York, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
Vice President Kamala Harris took part in the Capitol Pride March today. Crowds cheered as the Vice President and her husband, First Gentleman Doug Emhoff, walked in the Washington, D.C. Pride Parade and showed support for the LGBTQ+ community. The parade kicked off in DuPont Circle and made its way to Freedom Plaza. Later in the day, there was a Pride Mobile parade with cars and other vehicles decked out for an 18-mile ride through the city. We're not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, you'll learn about a brood of cicadas, that was thought to be extinct but are now popping up around the eastern United States. That story and more are next. Welcome back to your News at 9. A diver in Massachusetts is lucky to be alive after he was swallowed by a humpback whale. Now he is telling his survivor's tale. Fox News' John Monahan has that story.
This is just an incredible story. This witness, though, owns a charter boat. He's friends with that diver, and he saw the diver get spit from that whale's mouth, as did people on board his boat. As for the diver, he says he was out looking for lobster off Race Point when something slammed into him. By the time he realized where he was inside that whale's mouth, he thought, this is how I'm going to die.
All of a sudden, I just felt like I got hit by a freight train, and everything went black.
But this was no freight train. Michael Packard had an extremely rare run-in with a humpback whale.
It went black, and I was like, oh my God, what the heck, where am I? Did I just get bit by a great white?
Michael found himself trapped in the mouth of a whale that was feeding off of Race Point in Provincetown on Friday morning. It took him a second to understand what just happened.
And then I realized after I said it's not a shark, the only other thing is I just got eaten by a whale.
He tried to kick and punch his way out, and with no luck, he thought this is how he'd die.
All I thought about was my boys, my two young boys, and my wife and my family. And
Michael says the humpback was thrashing around when the whale suddenly spit him out.
All of a sudden I saw light, and I saw white water, and I saw blue sky, and I could feel the whale just thrashing, and he threw me out of his mouth, and I landed on the water.
Joe Francis, a friend who was in a charter boat nearby, saw white water and then this.
The next thing I know, I saw Mike come out feet first, his flippers flying up in the air and land back in the water.
Joe raced over to help pull Mike out of the water, and his friend said,
"Joe, I was in the whale's mouth. I was inside of the whale." I mean, he was totally, not in big shock, but he was, what he says when life passed before him, that's, you realize you're inside of a whale's mouth. There's not much you can do.
We wanted to know if things could have gotten worse if the whale decided to swallow. So we asked humpback expert JOOKE Robbins from the Center of Coastal Studies.
So the mouth itself can be quite large, but the possibility of swallowing anything large is not there. There's no possibility of that.
Michael knows he's lucky to be alive. We asked if he'd ever dive again. Will you go back diving?
Absolutely. It's my passion. It's what I do for a living. Very few people do it, and I get to get down into a different world away from the hustle and bustle.
This is not Michael's first close call. He says he was also in a plane crash in Costa Rica where 3 people died. He survived in the jungle for 2 days before he was found. One lucky man.
We're not done talking about humpback whales off the coast of Massachusetts. The Center for Coastal Studies says a massive whale dubbed Valley had a heavy line stuck in its mouth when it was first discovered last Monday. The whale drifted 25 miles north from Provincetown to waters near Boston, where it became stuck in more material that was anchored to the ocean floor. Crews were able to use a lobster boat to free the whale and used a hook-shaped knife to remove all the obstructions. They say the whale is now in good condition. A brood of cicadas thought to be extinct is now reemerging throughout the eastern United States. Billions of brood 10 cicadas started rising from the earth last month in 15 states from Georgia to Washington, D.C. and west to Indiana and Illinois. But none have emerged in New York State until maybe now. There are theories as to why, with one being that spraying for the West Nile virus may have killed them all. The 1.5-inch long black insects live above ground as adults for about 3 weeks, which is just long enough to reproduce before dying. After 17 years, they emerge, climb trees and shrubs, and shed their crunchy skins and harden into maturity. Well, thanks so much for spending your weekend with us. We'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I promise I'll find some cute baby animal stories in the show tomorrow. Cicadas are kind of cute. Well, anyway, have a great night and stay safe out there.